I remarked last week about the irony and hypocrisy of the fact that ABC and CBS colluded to fire a whistleblower. So after all this time the media has spent talking about protecting whistleblowers and talking about the evils of collusion, then they would turn around and collude to fire a whistleblower. So you can't, the irony can't be lost on you. After someone leaked the tape of an ABC reporter revealing how ABC covered for Epstein and spiked the story about his serial sex abuse and sex trafficking, ABC then, as we talked about last week, they went on a mission to track that person down and punish them. Eventually, they found the person, or they thought they did, working now at CBS, and CBS fired her on behalf of their rival for the crime of blowing the whistle on corruption within ABC. But it gets worse. It got much worse for ABC and CBS at the end of last week on Friday. Turns out the woman they fired for being a whistleblower wasn't even a whistleblower. They colluded against a whistleblower, but ended up punishing an innocent woman. So they tried to collude to fire a whistleblower, but they failed. And it gets even worse than that, because we find this out from an interview with the woman who was wrongfully terminated, the innocent woman who was blamed for being the whistleblower but isn't. We find this out in an interview she did with Megyn Kelly. Megyn Kelly scooped the entire mainstream media, even though she'd been fired by a mainstream media outlet. She came in and showed them what real reporting and real journalism looks like, embarrassing them even more in the process. And it's a great interview, by the way. So let's take a look at some of this. This is the woman's name is Ashley Bianco, former ABC producer. And here she is with Megyn Kelly explaining what really happened with respect to the now infamous tape.
Ashley, thank you for joining me. Did you leak the tape?
I did not.
Not to anyone?
No,
At any time?
No.
Did you make a clip of the moment?
I did, but I saved it in the internal system.
So what was your job at ABC?
I was a crash producer.
Okay, so a producer.
Yeah.
And you were in the control room when Amy made those comments?
I wasn't in the control room, but I was watching the comments while I was at my desk, and I had seen what she was saying, and I went to my manager and I said, you know, do you see what she's saying? Does she know that she's on a hot mic? The assistant said to us that that Amy knew she was on a mic, and that she knew she was being broadcasted to all the affiliates.
Right, so this is a moment where she's off the air, she's doing taped promos, but she has a mic on and people can see and hear her.
Yeah.
So what made what did you do? You clipped the moment? You sort of marked the moment in the system?
Yeah, I just clipped it off. I essentially marked it in the system. It never left the system. We do it all the time.
Did you tell the manager that you had clipped it?
I did not.
Did you think it was newsworthy, what she was saying?
Everyone in the office was freaked out by what she was saying, and everyone was watching it.
So the purpose for clipping it was what, to watch it back later?
Yeah, watch it back later. You know, I did it just for office gossip, you know.
Mm-hmm. Was there any intention to embarrass her?
No, not at all.
Or ABC?
No, I would never.
Was this the first time you had ever clipped a segment of an anchor off mic?
No, I mean, we do it all the time. You know, part of my job is I'm like a video editor. You know, I clip off moments all the time. I put together, you know, funny anchor reels of, you know, them off camera doing funny stuff to use later in the show.
Did you go back and watch it later?
I didn't, no. I didn't think about it after that day.
Okay, so her crime is that she saw the tape and she clipped it, that's her job, to clip tape. Never showed it to anybody, never sent it to anyone, wasn't trying to embarrass the reporter, wasn't trying to embarrass ABC as much as ABC deserves to be embarrassed, and eventually embarrassed itself. In fact, she said that she never even heard of Project Veritas. And I think that was actually an interesting moment where she talks about that. Let's watch that.
So was that the last you had to do with that clip?
Yeah, I didn't touch it. I didn't do anything else with that.
You never went back to it?
I never went back to it.
You didn't download it, you didn't email it, you didn't transfer that file in any way?
No, not at all. I didn't touch it after that. It stayed in the system. I hadn't even heard of Project Veritas until this.
You know what's interesting about that? She says that she never thought about the clip or looked at it again. She said that she'd never heard of Project Veritas. Now, I believe her on that. I believe that she never heard of Project Veritas. But that alone, let's focus on that for a second. That just reveals what kind of bubble these media companies are keeping their employees in. I mean, the woman is a producer for a major news network, and she looks at clips and things for her job, and she doesn't even know about the existence of Project Veritas or James O'Keefe, which, however you might feel about James O'Keefe and his operation, they've made a lot of news over the years. So having never heard of them is pretty stunning for someone. And that would be like someone at Fox News, a producer at Fox News, who had never heard of Media Matters. Now, I'm not comparing Media Matters to Project Veritas. Like, Project Veritas is a legitimate organization. Media Matters is just a bunch of lying smear artists. But the point is, it's a similar in terms of the bubble you would have to be in. That is pretty incredible.
Thank you for tuning into the Daily Wire, one of the fastest growing conservative media outlets in the entire country. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like and a subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss out on any of our content.